The teacher is handing out papers to her students, asking them to write about their future plans. While everyone else excitedly writes down their dreams and hopes, one girl named Makinohara writes about her current goals, finishing elementary and middle school. As the other students happily share what they wrote, Makinohara just looks at her paper with sad, sparkling eyes. On December 7th, Makinohara is in the bathroom with a guy who is teaching her how to take care of a cat. She thanks him and apologizes, explaining that she wants to adopt Hayate, but hasn't told her parents yet, even though she knows they will be supportive. Later, the same guy is at school during lunch, eating with Mai-san. They discuss their plans for Christmas and New Year's. When he suggests they spend time together, Mai-san insists he should spend time with his little sister, Kaede. She says if he does, she'll give him a present. Sakuta rests his head on his arms and grins as his friends tease him about Mai-san being the reason for his smile. He denies it, though. At home, Mai-san is cooking in the kitchen, while he and his sister are in the living room. Mai asks him for help, but their conversation is interrupted when Shoko knocks on his door and asks if she can spend the night. Mai stands there with a knife in her hand, asking what's going on. He nervously asks her to stay calm. Mai then suggests that they should ask Shoko directly about her request. The four of them sit down together for dinner. Shoko thanks them and mentions that she'll start making the meals, starting from the next day. This upsets Mai-san, who asks how long Shoko plans to stay, explaining that she thought it was just for one night. Smiling, Shoko says that if she could, she would stay forever, because she has no place else to go. Mai then asks how Shoko is related to the middle school Shoko, and Shoko explains that she is both Shoko and Makinohara, and that she ages suddenly every once in a while. She cannot go home looking like that, so she has nowhere else to go. Mai-san is frustrated and slams her fist on the table. She then tells Shoko to stay at her place instead, so as not to trouble Sakuta. Shoko touches Sakuta's knee and reassures Mai that if Sakuta is happy with his relationship with Mai, he won't develop feelings for her. Mai pinches Sakuta's knee, making him nervously agree. However, Mai still insists she objects. When Mai says she doesn't mind if anything happens between her and Sakuta, since she is fond of him, Sakuta chokes. Mai then declares that if Shoko is staying, she will stay as well. This makes Sakuta stand up and ask both Mai and Shoko to calm down. He then goes outside and calls his friend, explaining that he has run into Shoko again. His friend asks if he wants tips on cheating. Sakuta explains that both his girlfriend and Shoko are at his place now. In the morning, Mai wakes him up to go to school with her, but he says he can't move until he gets his morning kiss. Mai declines, but Shoko kneels beside him, ready to kiss him instead, until Mai stops her. Later, Sakuta takes his sister to the hospital, where he runs into the younger version of Shoko. They sit together, and she explains that she has frequently been hospitalized since elementary school. She also reveals that she didn't tell her parents about wanting to adopt the cat Hayate because, due to her condition, they would agree to anything. Sakuta reassures her that her parents love her, and if she does too, there's no harm in letting them spoil her. When Sakuta returns home, he asks adult Shoko if she has been alone in the house while he was at the hospital, talking to her younger self. She admits she isn't sure, and explains that her illness is not related to her puberty syndrome. She reveals that she has a heart condition that doctors told her she wouldn't live long enough to reach middle school with. Becoming an adult was a dream of hers, and her presence with them is now a projection of her younger self's dream. At night, Sakuta and Shoko are standing on the balcony. He reassures her that he will visit the hospital again and see if Futaba will join him. On December 10th, while riding the train, Futaba asks Sakuta if middle school Shoko is aware that she sometimes grows into an adult. Sakuta explains that Shoko has never met Makinohara directly, so she probably doesn't know. When they visit Makinohara, she's very happy to see them. She shows them the school paper where she wrote about her future plans and explains that she cannot live without a heart transplant, which is why she couldn't write any hopes or dreams beyond middle school. However, she has found notes that she does not remember writing, despite them having the same handwriting. She says that these notes are no different from what she would write about her future desires. When the protagonist tells Mai-san about this, she asks him what he plans to do and if he will marry Shoko, since the note mentioning a boy of her destiny seems to refer to him. The next day, he visits Makinohara, who tells him she hopes to be discharged from the hospital to see the Enoshima illumination. She asks if he's going with Mai-san, but he says he isn't sure because of her busy schedule. The little girl then invites him to go with her instead. She shows him the school paper again and explains that there are more notes. These notes reveal her desire to confess her love to the boy who has her heart. This reminds him of when Shoko hinted that she is fond of him. Later, at home, he lies down while Shoko checks his fever. He asks her if she is the same version he met in Shichirigahama 2 years ago, and she confirms that she is. He thanks her for saving his life. He dreams of a memory from then when she shared that her 3 favorite phrases are, "I love you," "Thank you," and "You did your best." She hugs him and whispers that he did his best. As he's sleeping, he opens his eyes slightly and sees the silhouette of a girl. He calls out Shoko's name, but Mai corrects him, saying it's her instead. She takes off his sweater and is shocked to see the injuries on his chest and stomach. He reassures her that it doesn't hurt, and they appeared when Shoko entered their lives. The next day, he visits Futaba, who hands him the phone. On the line is adult Shoko, informing him that they will be going on a date. He declines, and she teases him, saying he is scared of Mai-san. He admits that he is. Shoko reassures him that their date will be beneficial for Mai, and confirms that the date will help resolve her puberty syndrome and allow Mai to live in peace. They agree to meet at Shichirigahama at 1 p.m. During their date at Carl P., the receptionist leads them to a wedding venue, which makes Shoko gasp in excitement. She is advised to try on a wedding dress, and Sakuta encourages her to do so. When she appears in the dress, he is stunned and compliments her. He notices the scar on her chest, which reveals that she has had the heart transplant surgery, indicating that she comes from the future. He confesses that he's relieved and happy to know that Makinohara will have a successful surgery and survive. Shoko tells him that by Christmas, once the surgery is over, her puberty syndrome will end. She asks him to spend Christmas with her so she can have one last memory of her first love. As they walk along the beach, Sakuta says he doesn't understand why she has feelings for him. Shoko explains that he visited her every day at the hospital, let her raise Hayate, and always worried about her. He asks what she expects him to do, and she explains that he should visit the Enoshima illumination with her. She knows that Kaede will be staying at his grandparents' house and that Mai-san will have time off from early evening. He needs to decide who he will spend the evening with. She reassures him that he doesn't need to say anything, and she will wait for him on that day at 6 p.m. at the entrance of Bentenbashi, in front of the dragon lantern. Later, Sakuta and Futaba discuss what's happening. Futaba suggests that perhaps time moved quickly for the Shoko who didn't want to grow up, leading her to arrive in the future ahead of them. When Sakuta gets home, his sister tells him she will be spending Christmas at their grandparents' house, which surprises him because it matches Shoko's earlier prediction. Shoko then informs him that Mai-san called and wants him to pick her up at 9 p.m. She also asks him not to change anything about the future to avoid disrupting the events and preventing her surgery. When Sakuta picks up Mai-san, she tells him she's free on December 24th, so they can go on a date to see the Enoshima illumination. Sakuta expresses a preference for going to the aquarium instead, and Mai-san agrees to meet him there after work. He visits Makinohara, who advises him not to visit her anymore as her illness is worsening. He reassures her that he will stay by her side. Suddenly, she clutches her chest and collapses in pain. Sakuta tries to follow the doctors who carry her away, but his own chest begins to bleed, and he collapses as well. When he wakes up in the hospital bed, he is surprised to see future Shoko next to him. He tells her he had a dreamlike memory of their first meeting and his scar appeared right after the dream. He demands to know if the heart in her chest is his. She reveals that she was able to have a future because of him. At that moment, Mai-san opens the door and asks Shoko to explain. Shoko tells them that on December 24th, as Sakuta was on his way to see Mai, he got into an accident and was declared brain dead. Among his belongings, they found a donor card, which allowed her to receive a heart transplant. She discovered this right after the surgery. Shoko asks him to stay at home this Christmas to prevent anything from happening. She reassures him that her younger self still has time and that she has faith in modern medicine. She asks Mai-san to take care of him and then leaves. As Sakuta and Mai walk in the rain, she suggests they spend Christmas at her place instead. She also proposes that they visit a shrine on New Year's and discuss their future plans. When they reach his place, Mai tells him that her only request is for him to choose a future with her. After saying her goodbyes, she leaves, as she does not plan to stay the night. Later, the couple rides the train, which reminds Sakuta of their visit to Ogaki together. Mai-san suggests they keep taking trains until they reach the farthest distance they can. If they run out of trains, they'll spend the night in an unfamiliar city, in the same room. Sakuta admits it's a nice idea and asks if she is joking. Mai lashes out, saying he's acting strangely and that he should stop behaving as if he's going to die. She insists that if she is truly his girlfriend, she is ready to share the burdens of Shoko with him. Then, she starts to cry and begs him to stay with her. He declines the trip, explaining that they have school and work the next day. Mai reassures him that nothing is more important than spending time with him and that she does not want to lose him. Sakuta confesses he loves her, but wants the Mai-san he fell in love with. He continues to explain that he cannot stay, and as she falls to her knees crying, he holds her. When he returns home, Shoko greets him. He tells her that he never wants to see Mai-san cry like that again and apologizes, explaining that he wants to live and be with his girlfriend forever. As he cries, Shoko hugs him and says that she is the one who should apologize. On December 24th, Shoko and Sakuta say goodbye before he leaves the house. He goes to the hospital to visit Makinohara, and when he arrives, the nurse tells him that the little girl's mother asked for him to see her daughter. He starts to tear up, seeing her in such poor condition. Later, he calls Mai-san, who tells him she had a dream about them going to the shrine together, and that he promised the gods to make her happy. She teases him about lying to her, even in her dreams, before the call ends. As he walks home, he hesitates at the crosswalk. He watches cars pass by, even though the traffic light is green, and does not move. He realizes that Shoko might have mentioned his death because she knew he was going to meet Mai-san. Angered, he starts running, hoping to reach his girlfriend in time. Suddenly, a car speeds toward him. Just as it is about to hit him, Mai-san pushes him out of the way and is struck instead. Sakuta is shocked to see her lying on the ground with blood gushing from her head. At the hospital, the doctors and Mai's mother inform him that they did everything they could. When Sakuta returns home, he lifts his shirt and sees that the injury has disappeared. Since Mai is famous, every news channel covers her death. Frustrated, Sakuta leaves the house and walks to the beach, begging God to save Mai-san. Suddenly, Shoko appears and tells him that the heart inside her chest is Mai's because the future has changed. She reassures him that they can travel to the past and save Mai-san. They go to the hospital's nurse office, where Shoko gives Sakuta a drink. She explains that the reason for what happened is his inability to accept his future. Sakuta says that all he wants is to make Mai-san happy and that there is nothing he can do for Shoko. As Sakuta begins to feel dizzy and is about to fall asleep, Shoko reassures him that he will return to the present. She tells him that when he wakes up, he must find someone who will recognize him so that his existence is confirmed. When he wakes up, Sakuta tries to make people notice him, but his attempts fail until Koga recognizes him at the train station. He sits her down, insists that she meet the other part of him, and explains what has happened. Future Sakuta calls present Sakuta and informs him that he comes from 4 days into the future. He warns about the consequences, revealing that he has decided there is nothing he can do for Makinohara and that all he wants is for Mai-san to survive and be happy. Present Sakuta tells his future self to stop Mai-san at all costs, then hangs up. Future Sakuta goes to the TV station where Mai-san works with the help of her friends to make amends with her. When they arrive, Nodoka tells Mai that she has a Christmas present for her, and then future Sakuta enters the room dressed in a bunny outfit. They leave the two alone and lock the door. Mai lifts the costume's head to find Sakuta crying. She reassures him that from the beginning she had planned to save him, which shocks him. She then excuses herself, saying she is going on a date with present Sakuta. He tries to stop her, but she lashes out, saying she knows Sakuta will try to sacrifice himself. He holds her tightly and begs her to stay for him. Later, future Sakuta goes to the place where he is supposed to meet Shoko. He tells her that he will never forget her. And then, they part ways. He puts on his costume mask and starts walking away. As he watches, his present self is about to be hit by a car. He rushes to the car, pushes him out of the way, and gets hit instead. Back in the present, upon realizing what occurred, tears stream down Sakuta's face as he walks away, knowing that by surviving, he has taken Makinohara's future. When he reaches home, he finds Mai-san waiting for him, welcoming him back. Sakuta visits younger Shoko one final time. She reveals that she now comprehends everything that has happened. To spare Sakuta and Mai from further heartache, she decides to forge a future where she never meets them, accepting her own fate. She rewinds time to when she was in 4th grade and courageously writes down her future aspirations, relinquishing the memories of Sakuta and Mai to ensure their well-being. Time returns to New Year's in the present. Sakuta and Mai visit a shrine and stroll along a beach where they encounter Shoko for the first time. Now a vibrant young girl, Shoko's presence triggers a connection through fragmented memories across different timelines, allowing Sakuta and Shoko to recognize one another. Thanks so much for watching, guys. This has been an amazing recap, and I want to do more for you. So remember, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and tell us what you think of this one in the comments below. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.